Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Football Matters Premier League season preview. I'm your host, Faz, and I'm joined by Jules, the resident expert here. So, Jules, how are you feeling, mate?
Just pretty good, same as usual. How are you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. You still in lockdown?
I think they might have mildly eased restrictions, but I haven't really kept up. I think we have have mild easing of restrictions, but to put in layman's terms, yeah, we are still in lockdown. We're not fully open just yet. How's it doing in the regional areas? I think they're a little
Yeah,
more.
yeah, we're pretty lucky here in regional. We got let out, so I enjoyed my first day out of lockdown, or that quick snap lockdown. So no, it's good to be out. It's good to be out. So the upcoming Premier League season 2021-2022. Just a quick rundown before we go through the teams. How you thinking this season's gonna pan out? Just what do we think's gonna happen as far as crowds are back? Obviously, do we think that'll make a difference? Do you think there'll be any major stories? Just a quick recap of what you think the season will look like.
I think it'll probably just be the same as sort of the last 2 or 3 seasons. Relatively uncompetitive. Title race. You'll probably have a team getting into the Champions League on like 65 points. I do think crowds coming back will make a big difference. Obviously in terms of revenue, and also I think it'll change how the games are played. Like you'll probably notice there's more of a home field advantage compared to last season, where it was probably easy to get points away from home because there's no one in the crowd. Other than that, probably just your standard Premier League season.
I think much the same. I think the crowds coming back will have an impact probably for more so like away games.
It'll make it harder to play at Old Trafford, and you won't have 6 months at Old Trafford like you had last season.
Yeah, and even just watching,
have Liverpool dropping 5 straight home games. You won't have anything like that.
Of course. Even just with watching the friendlies, the practice matches, seeing the crowds back, I think it's pretty good. It's pretty special. Yeah. So before we get started, we've just had a comment. So Josh has just mentioned that Joe Hart signed for Celtic. Obviously, when we get through the squads, we'll mention that he's left Tottenham.
He was at West Ham, wasn't he? Or Tottenham.
He wasn't. Yeah, well, he's been everywhere. He was at Man City, then West Ham, then Burnley,
Premier League teams.
Burnley, and then Tottenham, and now he's obviously at Celtic. So yeah, thanks for that, Josh. So all right, so we'll get started. We'll go straight in. We're obviously going to go alphabetical order. We're going to go through key players that these clubs have signed, key players that they've released. And just our predictions and stuff. So it's going to be probably a quick, short, sharp video. And by all means, everyone get your questions in, and we'll answer them. And hopefully not too biased when it comes down to some of the teams. So we'll obviously start off with Arsenal. So Jules, do you want to take it away? Arsenal, which key players have they brought in? There's obviously the main one that we'll talk about shortly, but have they brought in anyone that you can see?
I'm looking at their Wikipedia page. They've brought in Nuno Tavares from Benfica. They've brought in Albert Lokonga from Anderlecht. And they've brought in Ben White from Brighton and Hove Albion. And they've also brought in a player named Mika Biereth from Fulham, but he's an academy player, doesn't even have his own Wikipedia page. So they've signed 2 defenders and a midfielder.
Interesting. I think the player we should talk about first and foremost is Ben White, and more so the fee.
Yeah, that's something they need, just to sort of. They've definitely had issues at the back over the years. I think a central defender certainly adds strength to that.
Good player too.
Part of the field. Yeah, quality player.
English. I mean, you can question the 50 million fee if you'd like, but I'm sure just like Harry Kane. Sorry, not Harry Kane. Harry Maguire for United. No, I don't think the Arsenal fans aren't going to really care what the fee is if he's going to have a good season. I really rate Ben White. He's a player I really rate. So I think they'll do. I think he'll do good for them. So we look at the players. They've obviously
with the transfer fee, I think that I mean, I don't know how transfer fees work entirely, but I would probably guess that Arsenal are more desperate for a central defender. So because of that, Brighton were looking to get more money out of him. That could explain why they spent that much money.
Yeah, and obviously
Because
we
it's a
know
crucial, it's a crucial part of the field that they need addressed is their
well,
central defence
Arsenal
because
definitely need
they've had many issues in
to
that regard. So
well, they
maybe
definitely
that's
needed
why
to
they.
address that. But also the English tax. We know Ben White being English always has that little bit of an extra percentage on top. But personally, I think it's a good
Yeah,
signing
does that
for
as
him.
well.
I think it's a good signing. So we've got a few questions here coming in about Arsenal, but what we'll do is we'll get to the players they've released first, and then we'll get to the questions. So, I mean, looking at it from our personal point of view, Matty Ryan obviously leaving there is a big one. For our point of view, David Luiz, obviously just the name. We know David Luiz, the big Brazilian, leaving. I don't think that's a massive loss for them. From a neutral fan, it is a massive loss because I think he's quite entertaining to watch. But other than that, Guendouzi going out on loan is a surprise for me personally. I rate him. I really like him. So going out on loan is a bit of a surprise.
He's been there for a couple of
Anyone?
seasons. I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, I like him. I like him. Anyone stand out there in that list to you, Jules?
I wouldn't say Gundogan is a bad player by any means, but he's kind of a player that I don't think is fancied by Arteta. This is his second straight season being loaned. I probably actually see him being sold next season.
Yeah, well,
he doesn't look like he doesn't seem like I don't know if it's like he doesn't fit the how Arteta wants to play. I don't know if he's fallen out, but he doesn't really seem to be fancied. Because if he's getting loaned out when Arsenal's midfield isn't particularly strong, that kind of just tells me Arteta doesn't really see him, like in terms of his vision, he doesn't really have Guendouzi in that vision. So I kind of predicted that having Guendouzi be loaned out. They also loaned out Saliba, who I'm not too familiar with, the defender.
Yeah,
I've heard his name, but I'm not familiar with his work, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, so I think Arsenal, they're always a talking point for me. We'll go through a few of the questions because I think they'll add to what we're talking about. So we've got Josh here who's made a comment, those players aren't good enough for Arteta to keep his job. Possibly, and Josh again, is he the first manager to lose his job? Possibly. They're an enigma, Arsenal. I can never pick them. To me, I predict they could finish anywhere between 4th to 10th or even 11th. I just don't know if they can get it right. They could easily play Champions League, in my opinion. That a lot needs to go right. I still think they need a few signings. Any team with Aubameyang, Lacazette, I mean, they're going to score goals. You know they're going to score goals. They've solidified their defense.
I agree there. Their forwards are very off form last season. Aubameyang's like, 31, 32?
Yeah, they're off form. But that's what I'm saying. If they can get it right, they're going to score goals. That's if they're going to get it right. I mean, Willian, again, hot and cold. Pepe, hot and cold. They solidified the defense. Right.
I think they need to revamp their forward line because, like I said, it's not really like he's not a prolific goal scorer. And while Aubameyang is, I think his age is kind of catching up to him.
Yeah,
I've actually been thinking, I haven't really brought this up on streams, but I've actually been thinking this season Arsenal needs to sign a new forward at the very least, just for backup to Aubameyang and like I said.
Yeah, for sure.
But they haven't made a signing out of the department, so I don't know if Arteta's putting his trust in Aubameyang. I don't know what the deal is there, but
I'm really looking forward to how they set up. Personally, they're going to be, for me, they're a much watched team, which always as they always are. Corey, who's a big Arsenal fan, building, not buying, lads. It's quite clear they're obviously building their squad.
They do have some good young prospects, I will say.
They do. They really do.
And Kedia, not so much. I think he's kind of average.
Yeah, and now conversation with Guendouzi, big time head case apparently. Look, that's something you see a lot with the young players. I mean, I always refer to a young player named Reece Oxford, if anyone can remember him, about 6 years ago, debuted as a 16-year-old, actually against Arsenal, and had a wonderful game, and he was the next big thing. Massive head case, never heard of him again. So it happens quite a fair bit. So Corey, he would know. Now he's also replied, so Emile Smith-Rowe got the 10 shirt, big things I'd assume. So maybe he's the one to take that next step for Arsenal to make them jump from where they are to a position where I think they deserve to be or where they belong. So Emile Smith-Rowe. again, Arteta, question marks on him. Where do you think, Jules? Arsenal.
So I'll probably look at Arteta just individual and then sort of Arsenal, the team as a whole. In terms of Arteta, I can actually see him probably losing his job partway through this season. As far as where Arsenal will finish, I'm thinking Arteta will probably keep them around 10th or 9th, and then there'll be the typical Arteta out, and then he'll lose his job, and then whoever comes in will probably get them up to about 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't made any overwhelmingly large signings. It just seems like, another sort of transitional season for Arsenal. And in terms of long term, I don't think Arteta keeps his job.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly.
You can tie that maybe into, the lack of long-term vision, the horrible management of the Cronkies, so on and so on. But I still do not see him keeping his job in the if it's this time in the 22-23 season, I see Arteta already being gone. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. I mean, I'm a little bit more bullish about them, maybe just from bit of experience with how they always beat West Ham. But yeah, and one thing I will say this now, I will point out as well to everyone, we're not going to spend this long talking about every team. Obviously, Arsenal's a big talking point, so we're not going to be here all night talking about every team. Some teams will do really quick because we won't know much about them. But obviously, Arsenal's a big talking point, and we'll obviously have Liverpool and all that, who are going to be the big teams to talk about. So don't stress, we're not going to be here all night talking about teams in this much depth. Josh, if they do pour, I'm looking forward to watching Arsenal Fan TV, mate. Spot on. That is one of my favorite things to watch. I'm obviously not an Arsenal fan, but it's just classic, mate.
It'll just be more of DT and Troop scream that Arteta needs to go, and it'll just be more tired blaming the referees.
Yeah, I love it.
I do enjoy AFTV's content, but it'll just be more when it's the usual. They're finishing like that. Yeah, if it's like they're 10 rounds in and Arsenal's 11th on the table, it'll just be more of the same old shit that we've heard from Arsenal Fan TV.
Yeah,
they are kind of a broken record.
Yeah. So before we move on to Aston Villa, we just got a comment from our one of our big fans, and certainly one of my favourites in Mitch. Evening, gents. Sorry to interrupt, but Faz, can we get a quick mullet flash? I think the viewers would be inspired by the fresh look. There's a bit of a stitch up, Mitch. So yes, I did get a nice little trim. Those who can see.
Does your work allow that?
Bit of a fresh cut to get out of.
Does your work allow that, to have a mullet in front of school kids?
We'll soon find.
Do you have like grooming and clothing etiquette at your school?
Yeah, but not as much as if you were not as much as if I was working at a private school. But yeah, look, we'll see how it goes. I only got it done tonight, so if the boss doesn't like it, it'll go. So enjoy that, guys. I'm loving it. So thanks, Mitch and Corey. If you were bullish about every team that beat West Ham, you wouldn't like anyone, Faz. Yeah, correct.
You just see classic English football fans just throw banter at every other team.
Yeah, well, I got it, mate. If I couldn't pick on teams,
I think you were born in England.
If I could only pick on teams that were worse than West Ham, I'd never ever be able to pick on anyone. So we'll just move on from there. So also that was Arsenal. Let's move on to Aston Villa now. I cannot wait to talk about Aston Villa because there are some big stories here.
Just the Wikipedia page will give their manager and the transfers. Hang on.
So I got a couple of out.
An Argentinian from Norwich, and they brought in they signed Danny Ings. Oh, that's a very big signing. Danny Ings.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And they signed
Danny Ings
from Bayer Leverkusen.
Yep.
They lost Grealish for 100 mil. That's huge, massive.
Yeah. So we'll go through the ins. So Ashley Young in. I mean, that's an odd one.
Just his he's kind of past his prime. Just the name value alone, I think that's a pretty big deal.
That stood out to me. Danny Ings, I think that's a mint signing.
Yeah, that's huge.
That'd be good. Him and
Zeeby from United.
Yeah, him and Ollie Watkins, I think, will be a bit of a force up front. Who do you start with? Do you go with both? That'd be interesting. But obviously, we can't go any further without talking about the Jack Grealish going to Man City.
Because he's a hard player to. I guess they're trying to replace him with Emiliano, but that's a hard player to replace, Grealish.
It's a very hard player to replace. To me, Aston Villa are very much watch this space. Again, I said that about Arsenal, but Aston Villa, they could literally be a team who gets relegated just by simply losing Grealish. I'm Corey.
Well,
Corey made a
with Ings and Emiliano, I think they'll probably at least be lower mid-table.
Yeah, well, Corey just made a comment. I'm thinking this is about Aston Villa, unless it's about West Ham, but it should be a good battle this year between them and their rivals, the relegation line. I'm hoping that was about Villa and not West Ham, but yeah. So
I think Villa and Wolves are the rivals. It's like a West Midlands rivalry.
Yeah. I know I'm probably sitting on the fence a bit, but I actually can't pick Villa. The loss of Grealish is huge. I think you're right with Ings. With Ings and Ollie Watkins, I think they're going to be able to score enough goals for sure. They've obviously got Trezeguet as well. Who I think.
And their defense hasn't changed too much, so I think they'll do. I mean, they'll probably be just as good defensively as not better, but just as good defensively as they were last season, and they'll still keep the goals. I reckon their ceiling is probably like 10th or 11th.
Yeah, I think so. If they can get mid-table, that's a good season. They want to avoid the relegation because I think if they're in the relegation zone by Christmas, I think it's going to be very hard to get it because they don't have that super player to pull them out of it.
I can keep them up.
Yeah, I really rate McGinn. I think he's a gun. I think he's very good, but he's not Grealish level. Let's be serious. So I'm thinking around about if they can get to 10th or 11th, that's a good season. I'm thinking more about the 12th, 13th. If they can stay above the relegation line, like I said, by Christmas, I think that's a good result for them. So that's Villa. We'll move on to Brentford. Now, one of the new boys.
I can just give sort of a very brief prediction. I reckon they'll get relegated.
Brentford? Yeah.
Just because it's the first season in the Prem. I'm not too familiar with their squad. I see them getting relegated.
Yeah, look, I can't confess to be an expert in Brentford's team. Look,
I'm just seeing names I've never heard of before.
Do they have an opportunity to do a Sheffield United and have a really good first season? I'm not too sure. One of the names.
Brighton were new to the Premier League back in 2017. They've been like 3 spots out of the Premier League every year, 3 spots out of relegation every season since. So they could do that, but I still just kind of see them going right back down again.
Well, I mean, I look at Brentford and I think they lost some good players like Ben Rama, Ollie Watkins. I mean, they should have some players there. I kind of agree with Corey here. Brentford, sorry to all our Brentford fans out there, but moving on. Ivan Toney, he's a good player. I think I'm not sure he'll dominate in the Premier League. I mean, he knows where to find the goals. But I think he's the type of player that if they do go down again, he'll stay in the Premier League. They're hard to really get a gauge on. But I mean, like anything, what makes it fantastic when a new team comes in the Premier League with new players is they've got a chance to make history. They've got a chance to make a name for themselves, and then hopefully, some of these names we start seeing a bit more regularly. So, yeah, we'll move on from Brentford pretty quick to another team who I'm a bit nervous about personally, and that's Brighton.
I just looked at their transfer period. They've lost Ben White and Matthew Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about Brighton.
I'm very worried about them defensively. I don't think they have that sort of X factor forward that can sort of make up for what they're lacking in defense. I see them at the very least being in the relegation battle.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
They could probably finish 16th or 17th, maybe avoid relegation by 2 points.
I think,
but I think they'll just keep out of the relegation zone.
Brentford are that classic team that they're probably relying on there being 3 worse teams than them. On any other given season, they probably could get relegated. But if there's 3 worse teams, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but if there's 3, they're probably relying on Brentford, possibly Burnley, possibly Norwich to be worse than them, just so they stay up. But I mean, they got 50 million for Ben White. Are they going to reinvest that? Are they going to try and sign someone? Then the next question is, who on earth would want to go to Brentford anyway? Brighton. Sorry, Brighton. It's a terrible part in England. Freezing cold. So why would you want to go there? So no, again, apologies to all our Brighton fans.
They don't have that sort of prestige when they can attract I'm trying to think they just lost Ben White to Arsenal. They can't attract that kind of centre back to come to their club. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think let's not
hard replacing him and Ryan. It'll be hard to replace those types of players.
Yeah, I don't want to burn them too much. I think their centre backs, Duffy and Dunk, I think they're quite solid in that regard. They're not world beaters, but they are solid.
And they can keep the team up in the Premier League, basically.
Yeah. Solly March, he kind of stepped up a bit late last season. Lallana's got a good experience, but I'm not too sure he's really got it.
I don't think will offer too much this season. They're both
Welbeck, he doesn't have it in him anymore.
Both injury prone. I don't think they'll too much value.
I do rate Malpay. I do like Malpay. I think he's got a bit of that X factor, bit of mongrel about him. And Trossard's always good for a handy goal. So yeah, look, they might have enough. I'm nervous about them, but they might have enough.
I think Malpay will be the difference. It's either he keeps them up, or he does nothing, and then they just go down again.
If he could score 10 goals, they probably stay up.
Yeah, so, 10, 15, he'll keep them up.
Yeah. So we've got Corey again. If they want success, they'll have to go a money ball method, in my opinion, Leicester type deals. Yeah, I agree. If Brighton want success, they're going to have to get those cheap deals from like League One or whatever, like even the French leagues and that, try and sign players, for under $1 million and really build a squad that way. I agree.
Invest the money from the Ben White deal.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, they have to do something with that money. Can't just sit there.
No, if they don't, then what are the owners playing at? So they're my first team. I'm personally tipping Brighton to get relegated. My tip first.
Is they'll finish. I see them in the relegation battle. My tip is that at most they'll finish like 16th. They won't be a top 15 team in this.
I'd like to point out that I'm probably going to say 5 teams are going to get relegated. So, so that'll be a bit of
a 5-6 team fight this season to avoid relegation. It won't just be like a standard 3 that relegated by a long mile. Like it'll be like sort of 5 or 6 teams all fighting to stay out of the relegation zone. For
sure. And we've got Jet here saying hello, Jet. Josh, Brentford are sleeping giants. Okay, mate, they can stay asleep. Nah, just kidding, Josh. We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding, as they say. So we'll move on now to the another team that I'm quite nervous about too, and that's Burnley.
To be honest, like 18.
I tipped Burnley to get relegated this season, just gone, and I think they were quite lucky in the case that like teams like Sheffield were just so bad that they were relegated for a long time. So
I'm not critical of Dyke, but I think he can only keep him up for so long. I think this is the season they go down.
Sean Dyche, I like him. I really like him. I like the cut of his jib.
I'm not a fan of his football, but I do like the fact that he can keep like an average team up on like on a $10 basically on like a $10 a year budget.
Nothing, mate. He's proper English manager.
He gets by on like chump change basically, and he keeps him up in the Premier League. So I do rate him as a manager, but I think this is the season they just go down again.
Yeah, and it's a shame. I mean that they have stuck around a fair bit.
They can't survive in the Premier League forever.
No, you're right. And look, I mean, we'll have a look at some of the they brought in Wayne Hennessy from Crystal Palace, which I find quite an interesting signing in itself. They've obviously got Nick Pope, so they've got some keeper quality. Players they've let go. No major players have left. Maybe Robbie Brady's contract expiring.
They've lost 4. Brady, Gibson, Dunn, and Benson, and they've loaned out like 3 or 4, and they've all been loaned out to like League 2 teams.
Yeah, so we look at the team like Tarkowski. I rate him highly as a centre back, James Tarkowski. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he was still at Burnley as the season starts. I rate him very highly, so he's a good centre back. Ben Mee's okay. I actually did see Arsenal were linked to Ben Mee, so that'll be interesting in that regards. Looking at their Westwood, I mean, he's always good for a goal or 2. Obviously, the big Kiwi up forward in Chris Wood. Barnes, he's good for a goal. Their midfield's weak. Jay Rodriguez, I mean, he can score. I just don't think they've got enough. Personally, I just don't think they've got enough to
a team with Fellaini's can only last so long.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Apologies to our Burnley fans, but they're my other tip to go down. And oh my goodness, I can't believe in the first 5 teams we've done, I've picked 2 teams, almost 3 teams to get relegated already. So yeah, we'll see. But it might just be one of those seasons. And the good news is we've got Josh who's jumped on. Hey Josh, how you going, mate?
Yeah, boys. I had to do some stuff for my dad. So
No, all good, all good. We're just jumping through the teams. We're up to Chelsea. It's such a shame that Brendan isn't here to talk about his beloved Chelsea. So maybe we just skip him.
We don't have the conversation if he was here.
skip Chelsea. Leave Chelsea for the end, just in case. I'm trying to contact him. So
No, we'll go through it, and if he wants to jump on at the end, he can jump on. So, to me, Chelsea are an interesting team. They've obviously finished the season quite well. I think they haven't finished their business. Yeah, they're linked to obviously Lukaku, players like that. I think they need to bring in a few more players if they really want to compete with like winning the league. I think they can quite easily make Champions League. The players they've lost a host of players. Tomori, who was obviously already at Milan, is now officially there. I like him, but he's gone. Giroud gone. I mean, he was always good to come off the bench. Billy Gilmore, who I'm definitely big raps for. He's obviously on loan now, gone on loan to Norwich, so he'll get some Premier League experience there. Lewis Bate from Leeds, going to Leeds. And the only player they brought in is Bettinelli, who's a goalkeeper. So, so he's obviously goalkeeper cover.
The thing is, they did a lot of their spending last season, so they might be looking just to keep spending on the rush for this season.
Yeah, so a little bit of
trying to balance the books, especially with like COVID. They weren't making like gate money, so
so a bit of
I think all that spending they did last season is kind of like sort of cleaned out their savings.
They were linked with Haaland.
Yeah, well, we'll just like I said, I don't think they've done all their spending. But we know Chelsea. Well, they've got a magnificent youth setup, so they'll always pull like a young player out of nowhere, and you'll be like, "Who's this kid?" And he'll end up coming good. So, I mean, looking at their key players, I mean, defensively, Rudiger, Christensen, Thiago Silva, Zuma. I mean, they got coverage there. I think Zuma's linked to be leaving. I know West Ham were linked to him. I'm not sure if he'll stay. Azpilicueta, Alonso. I mean, they've got some good players there. Jorginho. I can't believe Drinkwater's still on their list, by the way. That's quite funny in itself.
Somebody still plays football.
Yeah. I'm assuming he'll go on loan somewhere. Kante, Pulisic. I mean, Loftus-Cheek is back there, but I'm assuming he'll leave. Barkley, I'm assuming he'll leave. Ben Chilwell, Mason Mount. I mean, is this a season Mason Mount takes the next step? Can he take the next step and actually become a proper English forward attacking midfielder? Havertz, I know your opinion on Havertz, Josh. Reece James, good young player.
Havertz is all right.
Yeah. Werner. I mean, Batshuayi is still on their list as well. I mean, that's another odd one. He'll obviously go.
He'll probably get sold. He's been loaned out like 5 times.
Yeah.
You reckon Batshuayi to West Ham? You need a striker.
Yeah, that's certainly on the
Palace. I reckon if he gets loaned out, he'll be outside of the Premier League. He'll probably get loaned out to like Syria or something.
Yeah.
I think the Premier Club will want him. Like Crystal Palace got nothing out of him.
Yeah. It's an interesting one in itself. But to me, the big question is Tammy Abraham. What's happening with him?
He had a good first season. Like considering that, like the rest of the team was just not that great.
He's linked to be leaving, so I'm not too sure. I don't know. I'd love to have a Chelsea's fan opinion on this. What's going to happen to Tammy Abraham? So, yeah.
I don't think he can.
Well, they need a striker now. They lost Giroud, so.
Giroud was an off the bench player anyway. We're talking like
they need to send it
forward.
Well, they're linked to getting Lukaku back. I did see that.
Yeah, if they get Lukaku, I reckon Abraham goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, I've got Mitch here. Faz, can I get a shout out to Jackson Brett's tab Warpole, one of the quickest you'll see across the pitch. A big shout out. Hello, Jackson Brett. Super quick. So we may have to get you down to the cricket club and have a run around if you're that quick. I'd love it. So Corey saying Lukaku is official, is he not? I'm not 100% sure if it's been announced. So. I definitely know. I did read that he was.
I guess the Haaland deal's off.
Yeah, so
I don't
it
see
just
none for
says
both.
from like 2 hours ago, Chelsea set to seal homecoming. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, he'll get himself a couple of cheap goals against West Ham like he always does. So happy days for Lukaku. So yeah,
In terms of
Chelsea.
where they'll, yeah, just in terms of like where they'll finish, I reckon the highest they can finish is probably fourth.
Yep.
I don't see him finishing like top three. But one thing I will say, it all kind of comes down to whether or not Tuchel can get the best out of them, because they had a massive spending spree last season, and then Lampard couldn't get the best out of that list, and he was obviously let go, and then they brought in not Tuchel, Tuchel. It's just a question of what can Tuchel, because Tuchel's obviously like an accomplished manager. It's just a question of what can you actually get out of the squad, because it can go either way. He could get them top four, or he could get them finishing like eighth.
Yeah, and I think
they're probably the most unpredictable team this season, Chelsea.
Yeah, no, I would agree on that. I think fourth is probably about right. I think that the big three in the two Manchester teams and Liverpool are probably just that level ahead of them.
Yeah, they probably tend to be to the top three this season.
Probably
Liverpool, United.
But I mean, with the Premier League, like Chelsea could get off to a really good start. Yeah, if they get off to a really good start to the season, and by Christmas they're in that top four spot. I mean, they could really make a big push, especially January with the window. I mean, they're never short of money. So if they're in a position with
the 18-19 season, it's like 13 rounds in, they were in the they were literally like a point off the top of the table, and that same season ended up finishing like 30 points behind the league leaders.
Yeah, so yeah, anything can happen.
Like after the 13th, 14th week, they had a massive drop off. They ended up like they could have made Europa League the way they were playing.
Yeah, and I think that's
a very unpredictable team, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on them. Again, they're a bit of an enigma. And I think with the returning of fans as well, they might be a team that has a positive impact with the returning of fans. So yeah, I'm thinking around that fourth to seventh. I think
I'm thinking
be about
fourth,
right. And I know we're talking about the Premier League here, but I mean, they're always a chance to win an FA Cup or a League Cup or something. They're always in those tournaments.
Champions League, they could do that again.
Yeah, for sure. So now we move to another team, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. But Crystal Palace are the team that frustrates me the most out of any other team in the competition, because every season I think they're going to be no good, and every season they finish mid-table, and I can't pick them. So
Zaha is kind of the X factor there.
They never make signings. They never seem to lose. Like, they just seem to have the same team.
They've lost some pretty notable first team / off the bench players.
I'll just go through.
Townsend,
I was just going to say, I'll go through it quickly. I've got the list. Townsend, Gary Cahill, Nathaniel Klein, Hennessy, James McCarthy, Mamadou Sakho, Patrick Van Aanholt, Connor Wickham. I mean, those are players. They're in their squad. They've lost a lot of players.
I think Sakho's like old. I think it's like 33, 34.
He is, but
he's only 31.
Sakho's been their best centre back for years.
And he's,
to be fair,
the last couple of seasons, hasn't he struggled for game time? Hang on, I'll look at his stats. I think pretty sure he struggled for game time the last couple of seasons. Keep talking, I'll look it up.
I think it's an interesting.
He got 14 games in 1920 and then 4 in 2021, but 18-19 he got 27. It was a pretty regular starter.
He was injured all last year though. And then Van Aanholt, I rated him as one of the best left backs in the league.
Season.
Van Aanholt was one of my favourite left backs in the league. I actually wanted him when Luke Shaw was crap, so I kind of think that's a big loss.
To be honest, maybe this is the season they go. They need to make some signings quick, smart, or this could be the season they go down. Benteke had a great end to the season. He started to bang in some goals.
He's back.
So I'm tipping Crystal Palace to be anywhere from 13th to 20th. To be honest, they could easily finish bottom. They could easily finish 13th. To me, you talk about Chelsea.
Was like 14th.
Yeah, you talk about Chelsea being unpredictable at the top end of the table. I think Crystal Palace are one of the most unpredictable.
Like that as well. I see them probably like 14th at the most. They could be relegated, but their ceiling for me is like 14th on the table.
And I think as we're going through these teams one by one, I think we're seeing a bit more of that. Like I'm looking at the teams coming up, and talk about being unpredictable. there's a lot of teams coming up who I actually can't place, which I think means it's going to be a fantastic season. Because if we can't pick these teams, who knows what's going to happen? And talk about pressure. One bad run of form, you're talking about like 3 or 4 bad games in a row, and you could find yourself in the bottom 3 like that. Equally, 3 or 4 good wins in a row.
Season.
It's great. And 3 or 4 wins in a row. And I'll throw West Ham into this from last season. 3 or 4 wins in a row, you can find yourself fighting for Champions League. It is just it's going to be amazing. So talking about Crystal Palace in that regard has really opened my eyes to that. Now, before we get on to the next one, just a little bit of a fun 30-second break where we go, fellas, I love these questions, all right? So this is from Jackson. Who would win a fight between a horse-sized duck, right, and 30 duck-sized horses? So who would win a fight out of that?
The duck, you just step on them.
Well, that was not nearly as fun as what I'd hoped, Josh.
Yeah,
you just ruined.
Horses like run. They're not really like. It's not like you're talking about like duck-sized gorillas. Like horses are just known for sprinting.
Yeah.
They're not like physical like animals, like like a tiger, for example.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. A bit of a shout out here from Austin. Hi, Mr. Farrell. It's me, Austin. Hi, Austin. You should be in bed. You got camp tomorrow. Good. Thanks for tuning in, mate. We'll talk about it on the bus.
Make sure to hit that sub button for us. I
love it,
baby.
So keep it clean, boys. All right, Everton. Now we spoke about teams that are bloody unpredictable. Throw Everton into that. I'll throw my hands up.
For his manager, and you're talking they just signed Townsend, and
I'll go first on this one. Actually, I was watching when we were watching the Olympics the other night. I was actually watching the United Everton game in the background.
I was really talking.
And Everton were missing basically one player, two, James and Richarlison. They were bad. Like I know Pickford had a good Euros, and that's what I think will go a long way for them. I think Pickford will save them from. They won't get relegated. There's no way.
Not with Rafa, relegated.
But Pickford will get them higher than what they deserve. But I don't see them being very good this year. Calvert-Lewin, I think he's a one-trick pony. I think he's, he scores tap-ins and that's about it. James, I like James, always have. Pickford, again, I don't think he'll keep him up. Like he made a mistake against Greenwood to make Greenwood score a goal, and I know it was a practice match, but it was basically Man United's C side that was playing that game plus De Gea. So I don't really rate. I like Everton. They've always been my second side, but I don't rate them this year. I don't think they'll be.
I mean, you look at who they've bought in, like Townsend on a free, whatever. Begovic on a free.
He's old. They're old. Yeah.
Whatever. And Damari Gray from Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, that doesn't really fill me with excitement.
He was at Leicester, but other than that,
he was. But that doesn't really fill me with excitement. If I'm an Everton fan. And again, another one. Hi, Miss Farrell. It's me, Seth. Seth, go to bed. You got camp tomorrow.
But we appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. But go to bed. You got camp. So we got So Pickford. I mean, he's class. I mean, he's class for England. Not sure he's that class for Everton. I rate Holgate. I rate Michael Keane.
Godfrey.
Yeah, Godfrey. Going through. I mean, obviously Richarlison. He's going to score goals. Richarlison will score goals. Calvert-Lewin. Just hold on a sec. Okay, yeah. I was only joking. You can stay up if you want, but yeah, don't be tired tomorrow, Seth. So I mean, James, is fantastic. We got Andre Gomez. I don't know. I mean, look, they're not going to get relegated. We know that. We know they're not going to get relegated. They're not a team to get relegated. They got Rafa. They're going to be boring to watch. There's no doubt about that. Defensive, that's for sure. But I'm tipping if Everton can get in the top. I think it's about 8th. That'd be a great season. Great season from them. Do you just want to delete that one, Josh?
Yes, I'm doing.
You going to delete that one?
Yeah, I'll do it now. But so in terms of Godfrey, I rate Ben Godfrey a lot. Like I honestly thought he would be basically the Ben White. I thought clubs would have come in for him instead of Ben White. He's had a really good year I'm just trying to find it. He had a really good year at Norwich a few seasons ago, and I've always liked Ben Godfrey, to be fair.
Yeah, I like him too. I mean, look, they haven't really lost many people. I mean, they've lost Balassi, Josh King, who didn't do much for him anyway. Theo Walcott, who was gone at the end of the during that season. They haven't really lost anyone. Just Bernard, actually, he's not too bad, but he's gone. Yeah, I don't know. If they can get to 8th, to me that's a terrific season. But I can see them finishing as low as 14th or 15th. I can really see them having one of those seasons, where those teams they can have those, those real down seasons. But we'll just again, they're another watch this space. And as I said before, going through these teams, we can see how even this table is. I mean, I think we all agree Manchester City probably up there, and maybe a couple of teams there, but there's going to be a big glut in the middle. The mid-table team is going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to it. As we move now to those of you who've tuned into these shows before definitely understand my feelings towards Leeds United. I think they're an absolute stain on the Premier League, and the Premier League would be better if they were gone. So I'm hoping this is the season that I will give them one season up. And to all the Leeds fans, it's all just banter. It's all banter. It's nothing personal, but I can't stand them. So hopefully Bielsa, in my opinion, fails and they go straight back down. So Leeds, but we'll go through their players. I mean, they brought in Jack Harrison, who was already there. Good player. I really rate Jack Harrison. Really good.
He's good.
Brought in Junior Firpo from Barca, the good left back. I think that's another good signing. Lewis Bate from Chelsea, that's a good signing as well. So I mean, they've brought in a couple of solid players. I don't know. Can I guess my question is this, and anyone can comment too. Can we see Leeds recapturing the form that they had especially towards the back end of last season? I mean, Marcelo Bielsa, he's a world phenomenon with just what he's done, and that pains me to say, but he is. Is Bielsa ball going to survive again? They concede goals for fun. Gosh, do they concede goals for fun? But they also score goals for fun. So I don't know. Where do you see Leeds, Josh? Because my bias, I think, will have me saying 15th, 16th, but more likely they're probably 9th to 12th. But what do you think?
Well, I'm like you. I absolutely despise Leeds, and I hate them, and I think they're pretty filthy. But to be fair, they do make a good team to manage on FM 21 because you can try and make them good again. But I don't see them really. They haven't really. The only notable signing you can't include Harrison. He was already there last year.
Yeah.
Okay, he was on loan, but he was still there. Right, he is good, yes. But out of the signings, the only notable one really is Firpo. And as much as I rate Firpo and think he's good, they've got the same players as last year. I do rate their keeper, Mallier. He's quality, potential to be world class. But I see them in a relegation battle, but I see them staying up, if that makes any sense. Like I see them fighting relegation, but I don't see them getting all the way down.
Look, I mean, we've just bagged Leeds left, right, and centre. I'd feel sorry for them if they weren't a pack of scumbags, but maybe we've got to be a bit nice. Brendan, my main man, how are you,
Hello.
mate?
You missed Chelsea, bro.
You missed Chelsea, mate. We smashed Chelsea.
You've got 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes to give us your opinion on Chelsea.
Go. The unadulterated opinion on Chelsea. Go.
We've got kids watching too. So.
In my opinion, we need to sign a centre back.
Time's up. Okay, moving on. Nah, joking. Go on. Go.
I don't want Zuma to leave, but apparently we're in talks with Slavia for Koundé, and apparently Kurt Zuma's involved in the deal. And we just spent 115 million on Romelu Lukaku.
So that's been confirmed, has it?
Oh, yeah. Is he confirmed?
He's at Chelsea. He's at Chelsea. Yep. He's at Chelsea.
Awesome. Did you swap Abraham for him?
That's a good pickup.
No, Abraham's still at the club, but we're trying to offload Abraham.
And Batshuayi too.
Nah, not sure about Batshuayi because Batshuayi's worked under Tuchel before when he was at Dortmund, so maybe he's in part of Tuchel's plans, but not as obviously as a starter. But yeah, I'm not happy with Lukaku because he's not the striker I wanted. I wanted Haaland, but that is what it is.
So where do you see him finishing?
We'll get top 4. I'll be surprised if we don't finish second or third behind Man City.
Okay, interesting. Well, we said 4th because I thought City, United, and Liverpool might be a little bit of step above, but yeah, I could handle that. Yeah, top 4.
Giroud will be a big loss though.
He's good off the bench. I don't think
and
if you're going to be
Tomori as well.
He wasn't there last year.
Tomori will be a big loss. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Brendan. We'll move on now to Leicester City. Now, Brendan, before you jumped on, we were talking about how there's so many teams, about 10 plus teams, who are just we can't place them. Like they could either be like top 8 or in relegation. Like there's just so many unpredictable teams. So like we were talking about the likes of Everton, Crystal Palace. Who else was talking about being a bit unpredictable?
Norwich. Oh no, Norwich.
We haven't got to them yet. Brighton, Aston Villa. Anyway, so we get to Leicester, and I think Leicester are the same. I find them to be incredibly unpredictable. They got a wonderful manager. They make signings like nobody's business. No team, in my opinion, has a better run club than Leicester. I can't see them in the bottom 10 or anything. I can see them. I can see them anywhere from that 4th to 7th mark. They bought in Daka. They've bought in
quality.
Sumare. They bought in Bertrand on a free, which I think is a ripper signing on a free.
That's quality.
They haven't lost much either. So yeah, I think they're got a bit of a consolidating season. Leicester. I think they'll just go about it quietly as they always do. And you'll get to November, December, and you'll be like, look at the table, and you're like, oh shit, how is Leicester 5th? Like they do all the time. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, no, they're very efficient, and I can't. Yeah, they're definitely, in my opinion, they're going to finish in the top 8. I reckon they'll finish 6th. I reckon they'll finish above Tottenham and Arsenal, to be honest.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
Hard. That's not hard.
I mean, it's not hard, but like, well, even if Kane keep Tottenham, if Tottenham keep Kane, they'll still finish above Tottenham.
Shout out to Corey out there. You heard it here first. Leicester are finishing above Arsenal.
Yes, well, definitely. Arsenal haven't signed anyone. Who have Arsenal? Ben White. Ben White's not gonna make that much of a difference. They're gonna finish like 7th or 8th again.
Ben White will win you 4 games.
I love having you here, Brendan. Speaking of Brendan, we got Brendan who's posted. I think Roma just signed Tammy Abraham.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that's a good signing for them. Backward step possibly for Tammy.
For me, on Leicester,
no, he was a bench player.
I feel like
in football
there. Samure is quality. He was linked for United for so many years. Now it's Camavinga. And again, another football manager prospect that's good on the game. Hopefully, most people that are good on Football Manager are good in real life anyway. Patson Daka, I reckon. I don't see him playing much. I think he's kind of one for the future to back up for Vardy.
Yeah,
because Iheanacho, I think Iheanacho is going to have a standout year. I can see this being Iheanacho's year. He's quality. I rate Iheanacho a lot.
To.
Yeah. I do see Leicester finishing 5th on if one thing happens and they sign a centre back. We mentioned it last game. Fofana's out.
Fofana's out.
If they had Fofana, I see them 4th because I rate him so much. He's one of the best centre backs in the world, in my opinion. But they need to sign another centre back. It can even be an average centre back because that
they just need backup.
Johnny Evans. I think they got Johnny Evans. Maybe Phil Jones or something they can have.
Well, the thing about Leicester is they've got such they are a small squad. Like you look at the bigger clubs, they have a massive squad. Where Leicester seem to be a bit of a smaller squad. You know, I think they've got goals. I mean, Jamie Vardy is class. You know, he's going to score. Daka's going to be a good backup.
Iheanacho.
Perez is going to score. Iheanacho. I mean, Albrighton hasn't quite hit the feats he did in their league-winning season, but he's always dangerous. Midfield questionable. James Maddison, he's an absolute class act. To me, he's in the next group of players who should be in the England squad. Tillemans, absolute quality signing again from them.
Hasn't he gone to Liverpool? He's gone to Liverpool.
Yeah, he went to Liverpool. Tillemans.
Did he?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, they're stuffed then.
Yeah.
I know, right? He's class.
He's what a
Well, it's not on here though. He went. I swear he went. I heard it, but it's not on the thing we're looking at, which is weird. But
yeah,
he did go. I know that.
So just look that up, Tillemans, before we move on. But yeah, so whilst I look that up, here's a bit of a smackdown. So Brendan, you said Arsenal, who'd they sign, and now Corey with the back, and we love Corey. Corey's one of our faves. So who Chelsea signs? Come on, smackdown, let's do it.
We signed a keeper I've never heard of. I don't even know his name.
He's crap. Yeah.
Apart from that, Lukaku, and I think that's pretty much it. Then we've offloaded Tomori. We've offloaded a few players. Billy Gilmore's gone out on loan to Norwich. So it'll be good to see him actually play in the first team. They've actually given him the number 8 shirt too, which means he's going to be a first team starter.
Yeah, he'll get plenty of game time there. Now I've just looked it up. Tillemans hasn't signed for Liverpool yet, so that's not official. But I think they're linked to him. So Corey again, love having you. Vardy just scores goals and slams. What's that? What's WKDs?
It's a vodka.
Right. Sorry, I don't drink, so I don't really know. So Vardy slams at WK, pretty much what Mitch Hall was doing at Echuca. Speaking about who can sink him, Mitch Hall is one of the best drinkers I think I've ever met. So to keep it in house, he's an absolute legend.
But yeah, and so like I was saying, Leicester, it all comes down if they sign a centre back. They sign a centre back, they'll finish 5th. And I did hear, I only heard it once though. It was like, I think it was just like the media putting something out there. But I heard a few days ago there was a thing on one of the United channels that I watched that apparently Eric Bailly might be going to Leicester on loan this year. So I hope not, but he won't play at United. And he's good.
They're another one of those. Watch this space, Leicester. We'll have a keen eye on them. Now we move to one of the big players, obviously in the league, as they always are, and always a big talking point in Liverpool. Now we all probably have our own opinions on Liverpool, but we'll keep it relatively nice because I've already slagged off Leeds fans. I've already slagged off Arsenal fans. I don't want to slag off Liverpool fans too. So they've brought in who they bring in Kanate, who I think is a pretty good signing. They've lost Wijnaldum, Harry Wilson. Again, they haven't lost much. But to me, the big one is Van Dijk. I mean, he'll be like a new signing for them. Do we think Liverpool, do they have enough to compete for the title again? In my opinion, simply having their fans back, that's worth 10 points to Liverpool comfortably.
I think Van Dijk back's worth about 15 too.
Yeah, so they could be a real surprise pack. I think people kind of forgotten about them a little bit, which is odd because they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. But I think they'll surprise a few. I think we'll get to Christmas and think, geez, Liverpool are second or they're top. Like, okay, what's happening here? I'm not too sure if they're linked to any other players. I'm not too sure of their financial situation. To me, they probably need to make a couple of signings to try and keep up with the Man Cities of the world. What are your thoughts, Liverpool?
It all depends on injuries. I think injuries obviously hurt them last season massively, losing Van Dijk completely, that ruined their season pretty much. And Robertson's currently injured, so
Yeah.
it's gonna come down to have they had 3 years where they've been overplayed, and now that overplayed has come back to bite them because now they're getting injuries. Only this season will tell if them being overplayed is coming back to bite them.
Well, their midfield worries me. I mean, you look at Salah, Mane. For me, they're going to score goals. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's attacking player. They're going to score goals. Their midfield worries me a bit. Henderson, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Thiago, Naby Keita, Milner, like Fabinho. They're all much of the same, really. I can't really see. To me, that's not a midfield that's going to compete against the Manchester Cities, and even Manchester United. So yeah, I'm not too. I still think they'll be good enough to obviously get Champions League, but I don't know. It's going to be how is Van Dijk going to come back? How are the fans going to impact them? And can they make a couple more signings? And just from Corey again, Robertson's ankle didn't look good. No, it did not. It did not at all. So I don't know. What, Josh? Do you have them as a title contender?
Not a title. My top 3 on Premier League prediction thing that I do was in no order: City, Liverpool, and United.
Okay. That's my top 3 as well.
I see that only because of Van Dijk. If Van Dijk gets injured again, like I know my dad's who's watching's a massive thing on one player doesn't make a difference. Well, Chris Judd
Van Dijk does.
But Van Dijk's like Chris Judd. He's that type of player that will make a difference for your team. Like they missed Van Dijk last year. They tried to sign those other 2 clowns that they got, and they were useless. So I think it all depends on Van Dijk. I don't see them going anywhere in the Champions League. I don't see them winning the league, but I can see them finishing top 4 at least with Van Dijk back now. Like,
yeah. Speaking of order, Corey with his order in this order, his top 5 is Arsenal, City, United, Leicester, Liverpool. I like it. Very good. Very a lot of confidence, Corey. Can't say I agree. I might agree with City, United, Liverpool, but I'm not too sure I agree with Arsenal. But that's fine. All opinions matter in football matters. So, yeah. Now moving on to, in my opinion, the team that everyone's trying to chase, and that's Manchester City. They brought in Jack Grealish, mint signing. He'll be good for them. They've lost Aguero. I mean that's going to be quite a challenging player to replace. Where do we say? There's not much we can say about Manchester City. I don't think we'll spend much time on them. To me, they're going to win the league. To me, Grealish is going to be great. I don't know who else they're going to sign, but I think to me they're my top.
For me, this is a hard one. I honestly don't think they're going to be as good as everyone thinks. Like I said, they've got about 15 centre attacking midfielders now that they signed Grealish. They don't have a striker. Gabriel Jesus, he's another clown. He won't do nothing.
They played Gabriel Jesus last season and they won the league.
Yeah, okay. What I'm saying, who else did they have though? They did have Aguero at times.
He barely played. He played like 5 games all season.
I'm not saying they're not going to win the league. They'll win the league. I just don't think they'll win by as many points, especially now that United's stronger.
Oh no, it'll be close. It'll be close.
I can see Liverpool pushing them. I don't know about United, probably, but we're always overachieving. But they will win it. There's like no doubt about it. They spent like another how much this year? 200 million trying to buy the league again. Like
they've only spent 100 on Grealish.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, they haven't signed anyone else yet. They probably will though. So Corey, I'm loving this in-show banter. Chelsea will be battling for Europa League spots with the rest of the bottom feeders. I love it. It's good, mate. It's good.
I reckon Chelsea will lose Mason Mount this year.
No, you can come to West Ham if you want. So
Mount will never leave Chelsea.
Surely they lose another winger, Silva or Mahrez. Yeah, I think you're right. It wouldn't surprise me if especially Mahrez. I think maybe he might be linked somewhere. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
One more thing. I do see actually, if City don't sign a striker, I can see them playing Sterling up front, like he did for I know it was on the front too, but I can see Sterling playing up front, if not Jesus. But I don't see Jesus doing anything.
Jesus, get it right, Josh.
So he's I don't see him. I see him at someone like West Ham, or again, no offense to West Ham, but like West Ham or Southampton or something, like a non-top 5 team. But I don't see Jesus as a
West
top
Ham
5.
much lower than a non-top 5 team. So a few little shout outs here. So Mr. James Bell, Josh David Kirby's a legend. And then we've got here man like Brendan Spencer's like Messi. I agree. Moving on to everyone's second and most hated team. And I mean that with all respect, Josh. No one really... Manchester United's not anyone's most hated team. Like, everyone hates like a Liverpool or something, but everyone doesn't like Manchester United. So they're everyone's
like
second
Man
most...
United.
Because of 26.
Manchester
Man
United, here we go. I might just tune out. Take it away, Josh.
I don't. Varane, probably the signing of the summer.
Mhm.
Literally top 10 best centre backs in the world if he's
Top
fit.
3, mate. Top 3 best centre backs in the
I was
world.
being nice, Brendan. Who else? Sancho's quality. But now we actually have depth now. Last year we had no depth. Like we had Greenwood on the right. When he got injured, Dan James comes in. Dan James is useless. Varane's been given the number 4, which hopefully means that Phil Jones is on his way out. I just checked the app then too. Apparently they're battling PSG for Messi. So if we can get Messi, we'll win the
He's
league.
signed. Messi's
He's already signed for PSG.
PSG.
It's done.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was 5 hours ago. All right, so we are in for Camavinga as well, and I see if we get Camavinga, he's quality. Faz knows how much I love Camavinga. I've signed him at West Ham on Football Manager all the time, but Camavinga's quality. So if we can get him, that's all we really need too. De Gea and Henderson can battle for the keeper position. Obviously, Heaton's there for the cup games. He's useless anyway. But all we need is we got obviously Varane now with Bailly and Lindelof as backups. We did lose Twanzebe, unfortunately, on loan. And I am looking forward to watch this space with Anthony Elanga from United. He's one of the young left wingers, right wingers. He's going to be quality. He looks like the next Marcus Rashford. He's
Is he staying or is he
got
going out
he's
on
got
loan?
pace. He's fast. No, Elanga's staying. Chong went out on loan.
I think I think Sancho is going to be a good signing. Obviously, I think it wouldn't surprise me if Lingard left. But yeah, I think third. I think anywhere from 3 to 5. United. I think they've got a good enough squad. I don't think they can challenge for the league. They've certainly got a good enough squad to finish Champions League spots. But again, as I keep stating with some of these teams, United can't take teams like Leicester for granted. They can't take, even teams like West Ham, for example. You can't take these teams for granted because that's where they'll drop points. So I can see them about that 3rd to 5th mark. So as this Corey snoozing only academy player going around to be Rashford at this rate, so Alex would be ashamed.
Greenwood.
Yeah, possibly. All right, we'll move on now. So that was United. We'll go to another team who I am very, very concerned about, Newcastle. Now, I think Newcastle, other than everyone always tips the 3 that came up to go down, the 3 promoted teams. So I tend to go a bit like, okay, other than the 3 promoted teams, who are the teams I'm most worried about? And I said like Brighton and Burnley. I think I add Newcastle to that. I cannot for the life of me rate them one bit. Any team with St. Maximum, I guess, in it will probably survive. Callum Wilson scores, but I have seen that they're both injured for the start of the season. They've brought no one in. They haven't really lost anyone either. I mean, Andy Carroll is probably the biggest name that they've lost, but even then he did nothing this season. Steve Bruce still sticking around. He's lasted longer. Probably he's stuck around a bit longer than I thought he would. To me, Newcastle is going to be anywhere from, if they have a good season, 15th to relegated, 15th to 20th. Brendan?
Yeah, I agree. Newcastle, yeah, they never really sign players. I think the last signing they actually made was Callum Wilson, and that was the start of last season.
Yeah.
So they're not active in the market, which
No.
they had a bad season last season. So for them to not expand on their squad is worrying.
Yeah,
For
you've got
Newcastle
to
fans.
You've got to be active. I mean, they're still rolling around with players like Shelvey, and I think Joel Linton's not too bad. Matt Ritchie's okay. Fraser's okay. Longstaff. They're going to be relying very heavily on Saint Maximum and Callum Wilson. That's for sure. I can. Lascelles is a good centre back. Dubravka's not a bad keeper. I mean, like I said, I can see them, if they have a good season, 15th to just surviving. They worry me. Now, according to Corey, Newcastle is signing Joe Willock.
Yeah.
So they'll probably finish on top of Chelsea.
They could sign Messi and they wouldn't finish on top of Chelsea.
Love it. I love it. All right. Surely, here we go. Surely Santiago Munez takes them places. That's a shout out to the old Goal movie. I don't know if you boys have seen that.
Best movie ever made.
Fantastic. Great bit of nostalgia there, Corey. I love that.
Just for
now moving
Newcastle,
on.
For Newcastle, I feel like obviously they need to sign. They got Willock, but they need to sign at least another player. Till they sign Willock, they've signed nobody. Yeah, they really haven't lost anybody of interest. Like Andy Carroll, maybe if he's injured, if he's not injured, but it's concerning that their best player by a mile in St. Maximan is injured, and Callum Wilson. And I don't really rate their manager, Steve Bruce. I know he's a United legend, but I don't rate him at all. I really don't. I feel like Newcastle are actually my favourite for relegation this year, and I hope not, because I love Newcastle, mainly because Santiago Munez made me love Newcastle. But I see two things happening. I see them getting relegated or losing St. Maximan this year. But I do see St. Maximan leaving this year and going places like Chelsea or West Ham or Leicester or something. I see him being a bit better side.
Yeah. Okay, so we agree on Newcastle. So moving on to the second of our promoted teams, the team that epitomizes the word yo-yo, and that's Norwich. In out. It just, I don't even know. I can't pick them. I don't think they'll stay up again. I mean, they brought in Billy Gilmore on loan, which is a good signing. He'll get some minutes. Angus Gunn from Southampton, Rashikas from Germany. So Ben Gibson from Burnley is not a bad pickup. They've lost one of their better players though to Villa, which is quite disappointing for them.
Buena, he's good.
Yeah. Do they have enough? Do they have enough to keep up? Can they get the 40 points? I don't think so.
Teemu Pukki will score about 9 goals in the first 3 games, be rated as the next best player in the world, then not do anything for the rest of the season. Logan Cantwell, he's the it factor. I don't see him being ever as good as Grealish, but he's there, Jack Grealish. Like, he's quality.
Yeah, I rate him.
Yeah. Angus Gunn, he's a very, very good keeper.
Yeah.
Other than that, Billy Gilmore as well, and Josh Sargent too. He'll be one to watch.
Yeah.
From USA.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Gibson. Got Jordan Hugill, ex West Ham legend.
Oh yeah, he's all right.
He's not too bad. Not Premier League quality again or anything. I just can't see him having enough. I just can't see it. I like Cantwell. He's exciting to watch. But I just can't see him having enough to survive. As simple as that. And we're going to be talking about him again at the end of the season, yo-yoing in and out. I think they'll go back down, and I think they'll come straight back up because that's just what they do.
Bundia is going to be a big loss.
Huge loss. Yeah. So do we agree, Brendan? You agree on that? They're probably not going to.
Yeah, they'll probably finish bottom, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or maybe not bottom. Portsmouth will probably finish bottom.
Yeah. And now moving on to another team that I find very, very unpredictable, Southampton. To me, they were lucky that they had a good start to last season. Because to me, they were the worst performed team in the back end of the season.
They were
terrible. They were terrible.
Yeah.
And they haven't bought him up. I mean, they bought Theo Walcott in, who was already there, obviously. Haven't bought much in. They've lost Danny Ings. I mean, that's a mammoth loss. Gunn, Bertrand.
Bertrand. I honestly think Bertrand is probably going to. A lot of people are going to underrate the loss of Bertrand. He's absolute quality. Like, he's very, very good left back. He can play centre back, and he's a leader too. Like,
Yeah. And Corey saying go to the Saints. Yep. Southampton. I can't pick them. I know I'm pretty sitting on the fence a lot with a lot of these teams, but to me, if Southampton play the way we know they can play, they could finish 10th. But equally, if they continue the way they had that last season, back into last season, they could get relegated quite comfortably. I still think Ings is a massive loss. They're going to need to sign someone to replace him. I just don't know if they've got the goals in them, to be honest. They say clean sheets will keep you up, but I mean, Vestergaard's a good centre back.
Obafemi, they've got Obafemi, but if he I reckon this will be his breakout year. But if he gets injured, they've really got no forward.
Yeah,
but Walcott's crap. So
their squad's quite small. I mean, they've obviously got Ward-Prowse, who again, like I said earlier when we were speaking about Leicester, with James Maddison, I think he's in that next group of players who should be in the England squad.
He shouldn't have missed out. And like I was about to say,
free kick on him.
Yeah, my tips are West Ham staying. I reckon West Ham finish one spot out of relegation. I reckon they fight to the end. But I reckon James Ward-Prowse is good enough to keep him out. He's honestly surprised they've kept him this long. Like he was.
Were you saying Southampton then or West Ham?
Southampton.
Yeah, I was going to say you said West Ham. Hang on a minute.
Sorry, Southampton. I meant. But yeah, if I'm surprised when Luke Shaw left that Ward-Prowse didn't leave a year after. I honestly have so much affection for Ward-Prowse. Like, he's one of the only players in Southampton that I would take at United. And I do think that Ralph Hasenhüttl as well is an underrated manager. I do like him. And it also depends too if Jan Valerie's back, the young right back who they had a few years ago. He's on loan last year. I don't know. I'm thinking he's back, but
I think he's back. Yeah.
He's good as well. But again, I don't see them having the goals, like you said, to finish outside of like 16th, 17th. I think Obafemi, he's good, Obafemi, but I'd rather Ivan Toney. I reckon Tony's quality. I rate Toney. But
I think they're going to be an interesting team, Southampton. Now
I've always liked Southampton.
Now, obviously, we just skip the next team because we don't care about them. So moving on. No, we better just briefly mention Tottenham. They'll probably get relegated. They got no money. They got no fans. They're
going to lose Kane.
No, so who's that? I've slagged off Leicester. I've slagged off not Leicester, Leeds. No, look, Tottenham, they're a basket case. I mean, they've made some good signings. Romero's a good signing.
Yeah.
Gill is a good signing. But losing Lamela, they've lost Danny Rose. I mean, they're just depth players. I mean, Joe Hart's gone to Celtic, as we mentioned, but he's just a depth player. Yeah. I think the big one is Harry Kane. Does he stay? Does he go? And to me, that'll be the difference. If he stays, top 7 if he goes. Mid-table.
Top
just
7
about-
if he wants to perform. If he actually, which I think he will if he stays. But
We've spent a lot of time on our shows talking about Harry Kane. Don't particularly want to get in the conversation again about him, but the reality is, being the England captain, I think he will. He won't suck it up. Like if he has to stay, he'll stay. So what do you think of some of their players? Eric Dyer, Dele Alli. I mean, Dele Alli needs to recapture his form, doesn't he? Like he needs to find more than what he's produced. I mean, any team with Son and Kane in and up front, they're gonna score enough goals. Sissoko, yeah. I always worry about Aurier. I think he's a red card waiting to happen all the time. Holberg was a good pickup.
Højbjerg, yeah.
Yeah, Højbjerg, yeah. I don't spend much time thinking
Their
about
left
Tottenham, to
back's
be honest.
pretty good. Reguilon.
Yeah,
whatever,
he's good. So I think, look, I mean, they're not going to be a basket case. They'll finish between that 7th to 11th. If they have a really good season, they might get 6th.
They'll finish higher than Arsenal.
Yeah, if they have a piss poor season, they might finish below that. But Brendan, this is one of you like this one, so Corey. So I'll let you take this one, Brendan. What do you think? What do we think of Tottenham, Brendan?
What's the Arsenal chat? What do we think of Tottenham?
I think that's why he's done it, Josh, just quietly.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't condone that here. We love all clubs.
We hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham.
Except Leeds.
That's all right. Alex Munro, Munners, Nuno will do wonders for Spurs fans. Yes, I mean, we failed to mention that, obviously, that Nuno taking over.
They're going to be so boring to watch. 5 at the back, long balls. Yuck.
Last year had in one of my tips with my mates, I honestly had Arteta getting sacked and Nuno taking over at Arsenal. I had that, but I didn't have him taking over Liverpool. Tottenham, so.
Yeah, no, look, I agree. I actually like him personally.
I do.
Yeah, he's good, man.
I know.
He looks like Nathan Redmond.
His football, and I know what you're saying. Maybe managing Wolves, his football was maybe not that exciting, but maybe a team like Tottenham, he might be able to expand it a bit. I think Tottenham. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I don't want them to lose Harry Kane, especially if it means going to Manchester City. To me, that'll just fabricate the league. It'll be boring. It's the same as like Messi going to PSG. It's a boring signing. Like, yeah, okay, have a bit of excitement. Like, I'd rather Harry Kane stay or go to someone that's not Manchester City. Well, I wouldn't mind going to Chelsea either, but
go to West Ham.
Wow, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
With that though, like it's such a typical crap signing. But yeah, I don't think he'll do wonders. We've got one from David here. Go Aston Villa. Yes. We spoke about them earlier. Losing Jack Grealish is going to be a big loss for them, but hopefully they can recover from it. I think they will.
Just
if they
quickly with
reinvest,
Tottenham,
they should survive.
I know you said last thing I'll mention on Kane, but if Harry Kane doesn't go to City, I don't see anywhere else he can go. Like United, the United don't want him anymore because apparently, like I said in the last show, we're trying to get Haaland next year, and apparently there's good between him and Ollie. Chelsea just signed Lukaku, so they're not going to get Haaland. They're not going to get Kane. Liverpool, I don't see him going there. He won't go to Arsenal. I'd love him to, but he won't.
Yeah, he's not going to go any lower than that.
And he won't go to Leicester. So, unless he moves overseas, unless he moves to Barca or something.
He'll go to Inter Milan because Inter Milan just got 115 from Lukaku.
So you reckon he'll go there? Interesting.
That's if Man City don't want him. It's clear he doesn't want to stay. So he's forcing a move.
Yeah. Well, I hope he stays. And I like I said, I've got no love for Tottenham, but I hope he stays. Moving on to the final team that was promoted in Watford. Again, a bit of a yo-yo. Went down, come straight back up. Talking about teams that are hard to watch, for me, I find Watford to be a bit of a hard watch. Danny Rose is a good in from Tottenham. He'll be solid for him. Ashley Fletcher, good young striker from Middlesbrough. Not Premier League quality, I don't think.
He's still young. He's like that guy's been around for years. Is he still young?
I guess he's one of those guys. He always thinks young because he's never
Yeah.
made it. But
Because he was in the Sunderland documentary and he flopped there.
well, he was at United. He was at West
Yeah.
Ham. So yeah, maybe he's not that young anymore. But he'll always be young when you think because he hasn't made it.
Yeah.
Josh King. I mean, that's a good pickup. Premier League experience.
Yeah.
Again, they haven't really lost.
They lost Wilmot. Wilmot's good.
Yeah. Lost Carlos Sanchez, who's not much. Yeah, they're an interesting concept, Watford. I think the easy suggestion is they're going to go down.
I think they've got enough. I think they've got enough to just stay up there. I think they're like Southampton. They Troy Deeney, is he even there? I don't even know if he's still there.
Yeah, he's
Troy
still
Deeney,
there.
yeah, he's still there.
He's
He's
old.
still there.
But I like the guy Brendan mentioned the other day. The
João Pedro.
young striker. Yeah, Pedro. And I am looking forward to seeing Ismail Assar back in the league. I love Ismail Assar. He was linked with United, and I really wanted him to go.
He's a gun too.
he's a
They have
good
some
player.
good players.
In fact,
He's like Sadio Mane.
when they went down, I was actually surprised when they went down, personally. So yeah, good to see him back. Will Hughes as well. I rate him very highly. I don't think he's quite taken that next step. He was in that category with the Ward-Prowse and the Maddison types, and I don't think he's quite taken that next step. But I do rate him highly.
Yeah.
Cleverly's got Premier League experience. I mean, most of them have got Premier League experience. Andre Gray. So I don't know. We'll see. I think they've got enough to stay up, but they're going to have a good season. They're going to have to earn every point. I'm a bit bullish on Watford. I like them. I think there's worse teams than them, or currently in the Premier League, there's worse teams than them.
Can I just quickly put something to you guys quickly? If Norwich do go down, one player we forgot to mention, do we see Max Aaron staying? Because he's quality, Max Aarons. He's honestly like fourth best left back in the league, in my opinion. If you don't count TAA.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest. But we'll see. If they go down, I don't think they can hold on to those types of players like Cantwell again and all that. Like sometimes when you go down once, you can make a promise. Players we can go back up, and then but we'll just see how they go. I don't know. Moving on to one of the biggest clubs in the league, West Ham. West Ham. All right, I think I'll start with this one. Lost Felipe Anderson, who wasn't there anyway. Lost Fabian Balbuena, who's a good backup centre back. Sorry. That's about it so far. Probably soon to lose Declan Rice. At the moment, all they've brought in is Alphonse Areola, who I think is a really good keeper. It'll be him and Fabianski fighting out for number one, which I think Areola will end up getting. Basically, West Ham, unless they sign some players, I can see West Ham completely bottling it this year. I don't think they'll get relegated, but I don't think they're going to finish anywhere near the top 8 or 9. I'm thinking more of a 13th, 14th season for West Ham. I just can't see, unless they sign some more players. So, I mean, in defence are okay. Craig Dawson can be shaky at times. Ogbono, I think, is absolute quality. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. If he's fit, Issa Diop is flaky as. Cresswell, again, getting on. Schufal, in my opinion, is one of the better right backs going around. And then you've obviously got Declan Rice, who's absolute world class. And anyone who disagrees that Declan Rice is not world class, I won't have it, because he proved he is. Souček, again, good. But the starting 11's fine for me for West Ham. Antonio, quality striker, but it's just the depth after that. The West Ham's biggest problem is their depth. Yeah. When you got Mark Noble, who's your second best midfielder.
Mark Noble broke Messi's record in midweek, by the way.
I was just about to say that Mark Noble is now the high in the top 5 leagues, the longest serving one club player, which is fantastic.
I never thought I would see Mark Noble breaking a Messi record, but he did.
I'm excited about that. I love Mark Noble. But yeah, I just think the depth. West Ham look like they're about to sign Milenkovic, which I don't know. Brendan, what do you think about that signing?
Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah,
Be a good signing.
Centre back, young centre back. So, funnily enough, and forgotten players, Winston Reid is still on West Ham's books. So we'll
Really?
see. But yeah, I don't think you have much. Yarmolenko is getting on. So I think the
I
starting
think
11's
West Ham-
fine.
I think West
But-
Ham need a striker, if that, and,
Yeah.
and maybe a Cam. Oh, they got Pablo Fornals, but
Yeah.
but yeah, if they can get Lingard back,
They
he'll
need to
make
get
a
Lingard
difference.
back. They need
But
to get
even if they
Lingard
don't
back.
Whether they get Lingard or not, they need a striker. Even
Yeah.
if they maybe go to Leicester and say, look, you got Vardy and Ian Archer, loan us Patson Daka for a year, you know, or loan
Yeah, and-
or loan Tammy Abraham for a season or something.
Wouldn't surprise me if they went in for Batshuayi. But yeah, so
Decent.
like I said, the starting 11's solid. Bowen out wide. Ben Rama, I'm tipping to have a good season this season. But yeah, we can't. The West Ham can't rely on Mikel Antonio being their only striker. It's as simple as that. So I'm tipping West Ham to bottle it this season if they don't make any more signings, around about 13th, 14th. So, but they don't get relegated. But 13th, 14th is what I'm tipping. And now we'll go to our final. Oh, Brendan, do you have anything to say about West Ham?
I think this year will be a struggle because now they're in European football, so they
yeah.
have to play. They have to play more games, and that will the depth is where it will hurt.
And I rate David Moyes, by the way. I know a lot of people don't, but I think he's a gun.
I rate him. I didn't rate him at United, but I rate him at lower clubs. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he does very well at big clubs, but low clubs, he's.
We'll go to our final team of the 20. Another team who I think is going to be quite an interesting watch considering managerial changes and all that, and that's Wolves. Yeah, what do we think of the Wolves? Losing Raul Patricio is a big loss.
Did they get a new manager yet, or who's their new manager? I don't even know.
Brendan?
They're gonna struggle. I think losing Nuno is a bigger loss than Patricio
Yeah.
because without him, he basically was the one that kept them up, right?
Yeah.
Because of that. I mean, they still have Raul Jimenez, so he's gonna score goals. He always does. Dama Traore was horrific last season, so he needs to bounce back.
Yep.
There's a few of their players that but it's Connor Cody's good, but it's the reason they stayed up, in my opinion, is because of Nuno and Patricio. Patricio is a world-class goalkeeper, Portugal national keeper, and he's consistently in the first choice. And there's other good Portuguese goalkeepers, like there's Lopez that plays in the Liga, and there's other so the fact that he is Portugal's number one and he was playing at Wolves says that's a big loss for them.
To me, my biggest problem with them is they concede really easy goals. Sometimes, like they look cheap when they concede. I rate Ruben Neves. I rate Dendoncker, Johnny, Jimenez. Look, they got a squad. I mean, they're not gonna. I mean, Adama Traore, he's electrifying. I mean, they're not gonna go down, but I think it's gonna be another nothing season from the Wolves. Personally,
Well, for me, Jose Sarr, he's an underrated goalkeeper. Honestly, I've always liked him. Francisco Trincao from Barcelona on loan. That's a good signing. Young winger. He's decent. It would have been better if it was Ansu Fati, but anyway, you can't always have that. And it's going to be good for them that they got Raul Jimenez back as well. It's glad to see he's back and playing after that horrific head injury that he had.
Yeah, of course.
We all know what happened with that Tottenham, the ex-Tottenham caretaker manager, Ryan Mason, when he did it. He hasn't played since. So it's good to see Raul Jimenez back. And they struggled last year without him. They had that big fella, the young kid up front. What's his name?
Silva.
The tall dude with the long hair. Yeah, Silva. He was okay, but he's not experienced enough. So, yeah, I feel like Trincao and who's again another Portuguese dude. So they seem to keep sticking with it. But I don't know who their manager is. I don't know who their new manager is. So
Bruno, it's the former Benfica manager.
Oh, yep.
Bruno,
Yeah,
is it Lage?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
is that how
Well,
you
no,
pronounce it?
I don't
I'm
know what
sure.
he's like, but I see them. Again, I don't see them going down, but I don't see them anywhere near where they were
Yeah.
2 years ago.
All right. So what we'll do now is we'll just go around the circle and pick your league winner. So Josh.
It's close. With the signings, and I'm not just saying this because I'm biased, with the signings of Varane, it's got to be United. Now.
Piss off. Brendan.
I'm going with
It's
Man
got to
City.
with the signing of Varane.
Yeah, well, I'm going with Man City as well. So, and your 3 relegated teams. This for me, it's hard because I can fit 6 teams into 3. But Josh, your 3
Is
relegated
it who we
teams.
want or is it who we think?
No, because
it
of
who
who
we
we
want or
wanted.
who we
Yeah, who we think. Who we
Okay,
want to be ridiculous. Because I'll say Manchester United, Liverpool.
I'd say Burnley, but yeah.
Yeah.
Burnley, definitely. I think Burnley, Brighton.
Mhm.
I hate to say it, but Newcastle.
So you think all 3 promoted teams will stay up? Interesting.
I do,
like it.
yeah. I do see Norwich just surviving. I see a lot about Watford and Brentford. I've seen enough of Ivan Toney will score enough goals to keep him up. That guy's quality, man. Like
Brendan?
I'm gonna go with Brentford bottom, then Norwich. I don't know. Something tells me Southampton will get relegated,
Yeah, I like
so I'm
that.
gonna go with Southampton.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Newcastle bottom, Norwich second bottom, and I'm going to say there is going to be a deadline on the final day, a 3-way, chop and change between Burnley, Brentford, and Southampton, with Burnley, Chris Wood scoring in the 95th minute of 5th minute of injury time to get Brentford relegated. So to Burnley to survive. There you go. So I'm going Newcastle, Norwich, and Brentford.
Who's your picks for player of the season? For me, and again, not just because I'm a United fan, because he should have won it last year, is Bruno.
De Bruyne is going to get it again. He gets it every year. There's not even a debate. Yeah, maybe we'll change the name of that trophy to the Kevin De Bruyne Trophy because he wins it every year. Yeah. So it's going to be De Bruyne.
Second.
Yeah, I think De Bruyne.
For me, Jack Grealish. No, not Jack Grealish. He won't play. Second, if De Bruyne gets it, it's Fernandes. If Fernandes gets it, then I second Mason Mount.
What about young player of the year?
Well, does Sancho count as young?
Yeah, he would. He'd still
Actually,
count.
Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney's going to get young player of the year.
Declan Rice.
I'm going to go with Jadon Sancho. I think he'll have a good season for Man U.
Or Logan Cantwell, actually. Logan Cantwell. Change mine to Cantwell.
Yeah.
Golden Boot winner?
Who? Golden Boot?
Golden
if
Boot
Harry Kane wants to, it's him. If not, Cavani. Nah, I'm kidding. Mikel Antonio.
Oh,
nah, I'm
huge.
joking. Vardy. I think Vardy this year again.
Yeah, I'm thinking Vardy.
I'm gonna say Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, not a bad shout.
Because the amount of chances Chelsea created last season and Werner missed, someone like Lukaku doesn't miss those. I'm not saying it will win us the league, but it will win Lukaku the Golden Boot.
All right, so last question. Go. No, you go, Josh.
So teams that's going to surprise you the most this season.
That's what I was going to say. So last question was who's going to be your surprise packet for the season as a team?
I'll go Brentford. I've seen them in the league championship, and I know what they're about, and I've managed them on Football Manager too, so I know what they're like. I know what Ivan Toney can do. So
that's an interesting one.
Brendan, yeah, surprise.
Yeah, surprise. I haven't seen Brentford play, so that'll be interesting to see how they play. Oh, it's so hard. So hard to pick a surprise package.
Yeah, because I think there's going to be lots of going to surprise being terrible.
I'm actually going to say Tottenham as a surprise package.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well,
I reckon they'll finish higher than I think they'll finish.
Yeah. I'm going to say Watford and I don't mean surprises and they're going to finish in the top 10 or anything. I think they'll be a surprise because they'll survive comfortably. I think, yeah. So that's my surprise. All right, well, I think we'll end it there. So
I'll just say one more thing too while everyone's watching. Just remember, we'll be live. I don't know if hopefully Faz is on. He should be for the United Leeds game, which kicks off at 9:30 on Saturday. But I'm thinking roughly 9:10. We'll be live.
Yep.
We'll dissect the Brentford Arsenal game. Brentford to win 4-0. Tony to score a hat trick. Brentford Arsenal. I reckon we'll be on to analyze that game. Give our thoughts on that. Give our thoughts on the lineup for United Leeds. Discuss who's going to score Man United's 10 goals and and talk about the future games to come up. So hopefully we see you all there. But yeah, we'll be on closer to the day to put it up on the website and all that. So.
Yep, fantastic. So drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, and from Faz and the boys, adios.
Goodbye.